Hey, hi, my name is Chris. Every day I'm doing a vlog, and if you could like, subscribe, or maybe hit that bell notification, or how about hype my video if you can, I'd really appreciate it. Every day I talk about something uniquely different, and today, what would I tell my younger self? What would I ask him to do? I think we've all thought about that, haven't we? We've all considered going back in time, meeting our younger selves, and thinking about what would we tell ourselves to do, and would we even listen? Well, I don't know. But if I could go back and tell myself the things not to do, just given my own personal circumstance, well, I go back and I'd definitely say, don't get married. I know that sounds horrible to say, doesn't it? It really does. But I wouldn't get married. I just wouldn't. Knowing how marriage is sort of disintegrated in 2025, I think its relevance has somewhat diminished. Now, it does have a place, and for people who truly love each other, who want to be together, I completely understand that. So I am not dismissive of marriage itself. But looking at it introspectively, purely for a personal point of view, would I tell my younger self to get married? No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't get married. And knowing full well, this is with the knowledge that I have today, knowing full well that I ended up getting divorced. Now, I got divorced, we ended it as friends in spite of, I guess you'd call it an adulterous behaviour on her part. However, it didn't sour the experience for me wanting to enjoy and have relationships. I never got married again, and I think I would tell my younger self not to get married, to hold out. It's better to live a single life of happiness and joy and silence and peace, without the chaos, without the drama, without the disruption, without the toxic behaviour, without walking on eggshells. There's so many things that come to mind in terms of my own personal experience of a relationship. So I think for me, that is certainly one thing that I would tell myself: please don't get married. And I know this also sounds, I guess, trite, and I guess it could be upsetting, but children. Would you have children? I've got a son. I love him. However, you have to have a child with the right person. If you have a child with the wrong person, that's the worst scenario you could ever consider. So don't have a child with the wrong person. By all means, have a child, but do it with the right person. Don't do it with the wrong person. If you do it with the wrong person, you will find yourself in a position where you're just battling with them all the time, because they don't want you to be a parent. They're toxic. They deal with parental alienation. There's a ton of dads out there who are locked out of their children's lives, and I guess the discomfort that can cause for them is there. It's very real. The courts are clogged up with all sorts of things in relation to parental alienation. So I would say, have a child with the right person who's fit to be the right parent, who's going to obviously recognise your rights as a parent also, and that's going to be very fitting and very suitable. But don't have a child with the wrong person. Parental alienation is very real, and the implications are massive, not only for the child, because the child should always come first, but also for the dad, for the father who has no rights as far as I'm concerned in the UK as a parent. If you're a father and you're listening to this, well, you may have a different point of view. That's fine, I can respect that, but it's my opinion that fathers have no rights in the UK, and that is my experience. I've gone to court 13 times. I've had 4 child arrangement orders, or the prospect of a 4th one. It's just crazy. The system's nuts, and quite why we in the UK, I guess, deal with family issues in a court, a legal court, I I really struggle with that. I think it should very much sit in the civil domain, which has the clout of some legitimacy. But that's purely my opinion. What would I tell myself? I certainly, as a younger person, experienced the world in good fashion. I travelled a lot, I met a lot of people, I did a lot of things. So from that perspective, I never gave up the opportunity in my 20s to go and travel. And travel I did. I obviously went to Australia, America, the Middle East. There's just been a ton of places, and a ton of places that I've forgotten about. Would I continue to travel? Yes, I think it's important. They say in order to relieve stress from your life, especially here in the UK, you should travel abroad at least 4 times a year. Well, I think you're lucky in the UK if you get away once. However, I would say travel more. That's what I would tell my younger self. Would I be in a rush to purchase a home, have a mortgage? Well, the thing about having a mortgage, having a home, is that it does tie you down and restricts you very much to having to work that 9 to 5, that Monday to Friday. And if that's something that you love doing, you're in a job that you love, that's not a bad thing. Some people, even after a fashion, let their house out, they go off on their travels. At least they've still got a foothold on a property, and that's actually pretty good. As you know, you can't really lose with property prices in the UK. I've never really known them to go down. Mostly there is only one direction for a house value, and that's normally up. If you've kept reasonable maintenance on that property, then that is something that you would obviously do. I would say to my younger self, don't be in a rush to be in a relationship. Don't be in a rush to do that. Now, I never did when I was in my 20s. I wasn't urgently in a rush to form a family. So I would I tell my younger self that? I'd probably say to myself, just carry on as you are, enjoying life and doing the things that you want to do. Whenever we think about the past, if we were to have a time machine and go back and visit our younger selves, would we actually listen? I don't know if we would, but I certainly tell myself there are certain people I would need to avoid because they're just angry, toxic people, and I would certainly inform myself of who those people are. Would I act on that? Who knows? Maybe not. I'd like to think I would, actually. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, they always say, don't they? It truly is. And I guess making the most of the people that you truly love, who truly love you, that's important. I can honestly say the one connection that I had in my life that truly meant everything to me, I can honestly say I met that relationship wholeheartedly, 100%. It was my mum. She was an incredible figure. She was absolutely wonderful. She had poor health. I knew someday I'd get the call to say that she'd go, but I certainly made the most of her. We spoke almost daily. I made every available effort to be in her life, and she did in mine. We had the most amazing relationship. So I would, if I went back, I'd tell my younger self, Chris, just continue doing that. I can honestly say, even though my mum has been gone now for many, many years, I certainly, absolutely, 100% made the most of her while she was here. And I have no regrets about that. We had shared experiences, we did things, we shared the love, we shared the joy, and sometimes we shared the not so good things. But mostly it was the good stuff. So I guess if you're watching this, you're thinking about some of the things that have resonated in your life and how you would go about and live your life, and how you would go back and tell your younger self the people to avoid or the things that you would do. I'd be very interested in the comments what you have to say about that, because I'm sure everybody watching this video will say, actually, I'd love to go back to my younger self and tell myself X, Y, and Z. And if that's something that you'd want to do, I think that's a pretty good prospect. Sometimes reflecting on where you've come from and some of the things that you've done or the people you've met, it's good to think about I don't know, just having just that mindset of where what would you tell yourself? Absolutely. So on that note, thank you so much for stopping by. It was just something that popped in my mind today, and if you could like, subscribe, or maybe hit that bell notification, I'd appreciate that. Every day I do a vlog. Maybe hype this video as well, please. I'd really appreciate that as well. And I'll be back again tomorrow with something completely uniquely different. I'll see you then. Bye now.